Hello and welcome to Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. I did not record last week because I just didn't want to. I didn't think that I had enough new stuff to show you. And I guess I was kind of busy. And I was like, this will be more interesting if I wait another week. So I waited a week. And now it's Monday night, evening, late afternoon. Monday late afternoon. And I have many things to show you. So yeah, it's been like a pretty chill couple weeks. Really hot. So like chill as in, you know, not too much going on other than like my normal things, but crazy hot and just kind of like gross. And I did knit a lot. Knitted a lot on socks and stuff because it's too hot sometimes to just have something bigger on your lap. But yeah, it's been good. I'm just trying to stay hydrated. So yeah, welcome to July. That's crazy. It's crazy. June went really fast. I don't know if it felt fast for other people, but it felt very, like it went by very quickly for me. Sometimes I think the summer will go by slowly because it's just like a little bit different from my normal routine in terms of work because we don't have as many students on campus. And because it's so hot and I don't like heat. And that can be just kind of grueling. So at the end of this week, well, no, this time next week, because I'm leaving on Monday. Next Monday, so a week from today, I'm going to Vermont for the rest of the month, basically. So I am really looking forward to the highs being in the 80s and not in the hundreds. So yeah, today the dew point was like, I don't know, 74% or something disgusting. And it really feels like I went for a run this morning and it was like 7 a.m. when I left. So it wasn't really that hot, but the dew point was so high that it felt like I was running through a vat of soup and it was pretty gross. So I've been adding ice to my running water bottles to make the water stay cold as long as possible, which is really nice. But yeah, it still melts right away. So for like the first 2 or 3 miles, you have really cold, refreshing water, and then either you drink all the water or the water is no longer that cold, and you're like, this isn't nice because it's also kind of salty because there's like a product in the water, like Tailwind or Scratch or Gatorade or something that's like giving you electrolytes, but it doesn't taste very good when it's hot. Like, you know how cold Gatorade tastes really good, especially if you're really warm. But like if you just take a bottle of Gatorade off the shelf in the grocery store, I don't know if you've ever done that, but if you have, it does not taste good. Like you're not exercising or too overheated and the Gatorade is not cold, like it's room temperature or warm. Gatorade's not good. So I've been knitting a lot of socks. Let's get into it. So I finished my sapphire socks, which I think were not done the last time I was recording, but I think one of them was done, but maybe, I don't remember. But regardless, I don't think that I had blocked them. Sometimes I just can't remember what I'm doing. So I really like this pattern. It has a broken rib on the back and it has this super funky lace pattern on the front. If you don't know what sapphire is, it's like a type of seaweed that grows in Cornwall, like on the south coast of England. Maybe it grows on the whole coastline, I don't know. But yeah, you can find it. Like it's really, really bright green, and it you can eat it. It's kind of I don't know what it tastes like. I've never had it before, but I get the sense that it's like a posh food, but maybe I'm totally wrong. The reason that I think this is because the first time I ever heard it existed was on this insane, I don't know if it was a show. It was like this little short video series called Poshnosh. If you've seen Poshnosh, you know what I'm talking about. It's ridiculous. It's like one of the funniest things I've ever seen on the internet. And I'm gonna link the first episode And I'll link like the playlist so you can watch them all. They're not long. It's like 10-minute videos. Maybe they're 15 minutes. I don't know. I don't think they're longer than that. And somebody showed it to me in college, and I was just like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. So it's like a parody cooking show with Richard Grant, and I don't know who the woman, his wife is, but like, they clearly like hate each other, and they live in this like 16th century house in England, and they're very posh, and and they cook really posh food, and they make comments about how if you can't afford like $2,000 sturgeon, you shouldn't be buying food or something. It's so funny. And it's, I don't know when it's from, like maybe the early 2000s, maybe it's older than that. But I think it was like a BBC. People probably know more about this than I do, like why it exists and where it aired for the first time, because clearly it was on television. And I just watched it on YouTube like many years after it was created, but it is so funny. And it gets to episode 2, they make sapphire with like some other stuff. And there's this whole scene where they're trying to figure out how to plate all the 3 things that they've made. And they keep plating it in the most insane ways. Anyway, you should watch it. It's so dumb, but like, it's like so funny. So I have this, every time I hear anything about sapphire, that's the first thing I think about. And I laugh, and I'm gonna rewatch it after this is over. After I finish recording this, I'm gonna watch Posh Nosh. So yeah, if you missed the last couple episodes where I was talking about these, this is a Helen Stewart pattern from the second Handmade Sock Society, so this is like several years ago now, because right now she's releasing patterns from the 6th season. So this is my second pair of sapphire socks. I knitted an orange pair during the summer of 2020 in Mondim by Rosa Pomar, in this like burnt orange Mondim that I had bought in England. And I was there on my fieldwork trip right when COVID was starting, or right before COVID started, because I have to come home for COVID. They were way too big because I was knitting all my socks on a size 1.5 needle, but I actually really liked them. They're really cozy, and I really enjoyed knitting them. So this is a 75-25 merino nylon 4-ply. I bought it white and dyed it myself. I just like platinum sock from Wool to Die For. I'll link that in the show notes. If you buy a 75-25 sock blend from a designer, it will probably be like this. It's like this. It's like the lighter weight, 4-ply yarn, rather than the heavier 2-ply, which is usually 80-20. And I really love this color. I talked about how I got it. I had to over dye some other color, and then it worked out great, and I love it. And I'm very satisfied with this. I have a few grams. There's probably like 30 grams left over, maybe a little bit more, so I can use it for heels, toes, and cuffs, or I can make green striped socks. Maybe I'll make more Wicked themed socks, because I seem to be knitting a bunch of green socks. Maybe I'll just make a second pair of green striped socks for Wicked Part 2. I should probably finish my Wicked cowls before I do that, but we'll see. Let's talk about this one. Then, okay, oops, sorry. I bumped the tripod. I maybe showed this last time. I can't remember when I cast these on. So I was talking to Jill from the Woolly Thistle about a shop visit, and she said, do you have samples? We have your Emma Woodhouse socks and Rambler. We just want to know if you have any other samples you're going to bring to the shop. And I was like, oh, let me just like knit some more socks and Rambler. That seems great. I said, I've just released a pattern. I'll just knit some in Rambler. I was going to do that for the sock sprint, but like, I'll just do it now. So I decided to knit my Lizzie Bennet socks in Rambler. So I just released this pattern, the Lizzie Bennet socks, on Ravelry like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. And I didn't have any samples to show because I knitted the samples like 3 years ago, maybe even longer. And I gave them away. So I released this pattern because I'd photographed them so I could like publish the pattern. And I was just like bored. I didn't have to work on Juneteenth, and so I decided to finish the Lizzie Bennet pattern because it was almost done, and then I released it on Ravelry. So it's only in one size right now. I'm gonna try and put this is a 64 stitch pattern. I'm going to try and put a 72 stitch one up as a pattern update soon, just so that you can knit the socks for a wider variety of foot sizes. But it has a like just this like pretty simple, just an 8 round lace pattern detail, 3 across. The back is plain stockinette, bottom is plain, has a heel flap and gusset. It is top down. The ribbing is slightly irregular so that it matches up with the pattern nicely. So like there's 3 pearls in between each one of these, for instance. So there's a ribbing chart and a lace chart for the top of the leg and top of the leg and the foot, or the front of the leg and the top of the foot, I guess. So if you want a simple lace pattern, it's very easy to memorize. It's kind of makes these little circles with these little circles in the middle. I wish I had something like, there we go, maybe so I should like hold a piece of white paper inside it so that it's easier to see what the lace looks like. You can kind of see it there. It's like a lace circle. I find them really fun to knit. They were really quick. I did them in like a week or two, maybe. Again, I can't remember when I started these. So I'm not sure if I showed them to you 2 weeks ago, but I feel like they weren't started 2 weeks ago, so can't remember. But yeah, they were quick, super quick. Rambler knits up really quickly. So I have some more Rambler here to show you. Rambler is the woolly thistles house yarn that gets spun by Battenkill in upstate New York. And I have a bunch of Rambler in here somewhere. Where is it? Why is it all buried? Come on. Should have prepared for this. Like, oh, there was one right on the top. Look at that. Don't fall. Rambler. I've talked about this for the last several episodes, but in case you missed it, this is 100% wool sock yarn. The yarn is made out of 80% Dorset, 10% Corriedale, and 10% Gray Romney, which gives it a nice kind of like, you know, you're not dyeing it on white. It's being dyed on like almost white, but you can tell that there's something that's like a darker color mixed in and blended, because I knitted my first Rambler socks, the Emma Woodhouse socks, in undyed Rambler because the colors hadn't been dyed yet, and it was just like a tiny bit off white, like a little kind of murky white. So it just gives the colors a little more depth and makes them just more fun, I think. I really enjoy working with Rambler. It's 3 plies. It's like a little thicker than a 75-25 sock yarn, but it's not thicker than an 80-20 sock yarn. So use your regular size saw needles that you use for socks and you should be good to go. It's not going to make like super tight socks. I guess you could go down a needle size, or you could go down in your stitch count to make like really form-fitting socks, but I kind of prefer them to be a little bit looser. This is like a little woollier wool, kind of like house slippers is the vibe that I like to knit in Rambler. This is colorway Lichen. I have at least 2 more in there. I have the red one and then I have the dark green one. But you can get this with woolly thistle. If you use my link, which is somewhere up there, I get a small kickback at no extra cost to you, which is super helpful for me, and it really helps my channel out because I don't get paid for this. I just do this. I mean, sometimes YouTube pays me for ads, but very rarely. So that does help me a little bit. So I hope you are all excited for the sock sprint at the Woolly Thistle. They do the sock sprint for usually the second half of July. So I will be doing the sock sprint when I'm home. And I kind of wanted to, I will be knitting socks. I thought it would be nice to just travel with like nothing but sock yarn because that's just smaller. Like socks are smaller projects. They're good for travel. Excuse me. But I also want to knit a couple of sweaters for little kids, like my friends' babies. So I'm thinking about bringing some hand spun skeins home as well to knit those. So that'll be really fun. Just some quick projects. But I did cast on another pair of socks. I actually made myself wait like 3 days before I did. So I finished the yellow socks, the Lizzie Bennet socks. I don't know if you can call this yellow. Golden Fern is the colorway. If you want this colorway, it's really nice. You should totally get this color. I finished these on like, I don't know, Monday or Tuesday last week, I think. Oh, maybe I had cast them on. Oh no, maybe I didn't finish them till Thursday. It doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm arguing with myself about this. Yeah, I don't remember. But the Handmade Sock Society Season 6, the next pattern got released. It's so crazy to think that like I feel like when I was knitting the what were the last ones? The blue ones that I made. Letterpress socks. I was knitting those and I started them on June 1st. And I feel like I knit those like 100 years ago. Which is wild because it was less than a month ago. I did knit them really quickly, but I remember like working on it, one of them before Evensong one day at church. And to me that was like a million years ago because I haven't had Evensong in so long since the summer. And I'm like, wow, okay. So the last pattern got released on Thursday and they're called the Marginalia socks. And they were really cute. So I decided to knit them in this skein of Magpie Swanky sock. Magpie Swanky sock is 80% merino and then 10% nylon and 10% cashmere, I think. There's a Swanky sock and a Swanky DK and it has the same content, but one's sock and one's DK. So it's really shiny. It's obviously really soft. It is really soft. I've knit with merino cashmere nylon before, and I think this is the softest I've ever used. I don't know if I would want to use it for a sweater because it might pill like crazy, but it is really, really, really soft. And the color that Helen used for the sample was kind of like a murky color like this. It was, I don't know if it was brown or like a burgundy kind of, but it was a darker color, and I thought that would be cool. And I've been wanting to knit with this. I've had it in my stash for like 2 years. I remember when I got it, it was on sale because it was a one-of-a-kind skein. Like it got a little messed up. So I'm not sure if that's because it's too light or too dark or it has these kind of random speckles and maybe they weren't supposed to be there. But they make one-of-a-kind skeins when they're dyeing yarn and it goes a little wrong. And so it's supposed to be one color, but they overdyed it or underdyed it or over speckled, under speckled or something, and it can't, like, it's not that close, like it's not close enough to match. I don't know if there were more than one of these, but I just got this one, and for some reason I just haven't knitted it. So these are the Marginalia socks. So they have, this is really nice and stretchy. What's that called? Twisted rib. A nice twisted rib cuff. The twisted rib cuffs used to really annoy me because I felt like they took way too long, but the more twisted rib I've knitted, the more I'm like, or maybe just the more cuffs I've knitted. I used to get really annoyed about knitting cuffs of mittens and socks and sweaters, you know, neck, bottom, hem, sleeve, whatever. Now I just feel like they pass instantly. And I'm not sure if that's because ribbing goes faster or because I notice it less because I've just done it so many times. But then it has a kind of funky lace pattern or texture-ish lace pattern. So there's two elements. There's this one, which is the little knot stitch that Helen uses all the time. She used it in the Shell Cottage socks and the Hello Sailor, or no, not Hello Sailor, was Summerly, Sailing School socks in season 2. I have used this little knot stitch in my Emma Woodhouse socks as well. And then this one, it's hard to see this. It looks like a traveling vine. It's like an S, like a constant, like a little snake, and it's done with yarn overs and knit 3 togethers / SSSKs. And this was featured in the, or similar to this, was featured in the Scribbly Gum socks from season 4. So it's kind of like she took 2 elements of her previous patterns and slapped them together to make this completely new thing, and it's so cool. So I've really been enjoying this. It's kind of hard to see so that's the knot stitch and this is the S. I think they'll look really cool when they're on. Maybe I'll just put this on my foot to see. Yeah, it does look cool. Maybe I can hold it up. Yeah, now you can see that. Okay. Glad I could make that work. I'm not a very dignified person, but you probably know that if you're watching this. I've been around for a while. So I'm really enjoying these. Just started knitting them yesterday, I think. I feel like I started them yesterday morning. Yeah, I think I did. And I was getting a little confused by the pattern when I first started, and I was like, oh, these are kind of annoying. Maybe I don't want to knit this. Oh, and then I realized I just needed to knit like the last row before the pattern row needed to be really loose, and then it was all gonna be fine. So it was great. Really enjoyed it. Almost to the heel. I have one more pattern repeat, which maybe I'll get done pretty soon if I finish this up before Run Club, and then I will knit the heel. So yeah. Socks used to just take me so much more time. I remember it was like probably like 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, probably 4 years ago. So I remember thinking that this was a good time when I was a nanny, and so I didn't have like a whole lot going on in my life because like COVID was happening, and I was just like living with this family, which was really awesome to like do something different and cool and fun. And Brooke and Tom were like so wonderful, and the kids were so much fun. But you know, I wasn't like running and singing church music and working at this school, and like, you know, so that's kind of why I started tiny desk knitting, because knitting occupied just so much more space in my brain. And I really would try to like kind of make it like use knitting as just a way to like break up my day and like set goals and like, reach goals and feel good about myself and like, you know, learn stuff, whatever. So I don't do that as much anymore because I don't have to. But I was really glad that like knitting was able to kind of fill that void for me when I just had to be like hanging out in a house a lot because it was COVID and I lived in a big city. And I remember thinking to myself at one point, I should work on socks for an hour every day. If I work on socks for an hour every day, I'll get really good at them. Like I'll, you know, and I'll knit, like I'll get through like a pair of socks every month, at least, you know, based on how much I can get done in one sock in 1 hour at one time. Yeah, it would take me like less than a month to knit a whole pair of socks every, you know, I thought I could do a pair of socks in 2 weeks. Like maybe that was it. Maybe I thought I could do a sock in a week if I did an hour a day. But I never ended up committing to that because, first of all, it's hard to stop if you have more than an hour to knit. It's sometimes hard to stop if you're just enjoying what you're making. Like, why would I stop and work on something else if I'm enjoying this so much? And I tried a variety of things to kind of get around that. I also tried the 5 hour method that I learned from like, I think it was like the Little Red Mittens podcast or something, where they're a yarn store in Ontario, and I think they're in St. Thomas, Ontario. I've never been there, but they seem awesome. And they were like trying these methods because they did a 100-day no cast on challenge at the beginning of January. For like 100 days they couldn't cast on anything, so they all had a bunch of whips, and they were like, we're gonna try different methods of getting through this. And so one of the methods was you set a timer, you have a 5 hour timer, and there was like a special app that you could use where you could have different timers going at the same time and pause them. And so when you start working on a project, you start a 5 hour timer, and when you stop knitting it, you pause the timer, but you keep going with that same project until the 5 hour timer rings. So you have to be really good at like setting the timer and stopping the timer, which I just never got good at. So that's probably why it didn't work, also because it's just like wasn't the method that worked for me. But I did sort of try a bunch of different things like that, and none of them really work. I think at the end of the day I realized like knitting is something that I do because I love it, and I don't want it to be a chore or something that, you know, I feel like I have to do. It's like I should do this because I want to, and I should just like do it by vibes or whatever. So yeah, I don't really do the 5 hour method, the 1 hour method, like whatever. But the point of this story is to say that now when I sit down to knit a sock, even if it's patterned like this, in an hour, I can get through substantially more than I could 4 years ago. Like I could probably get through, well, I don't know. I'm sure that I've done 2 hours or less of work on this sock total. And like that you know, I feel like I could get through a sock in like 4 or 5 total hours instead of 7 to 10. Because then I remember thinking, oh, I don't think I could get through a whole sock in a week. Like, it'd probably take more like 9 or 10 days. I'm pretty sure I've doubled my time, like, or I've halved my time to knit a sock, which is crazy. I don't know if my hands have just gotten used to really small needles or the yarn, or it's, I don't know, faster at lace patterns or whatever. And I probably haven't really like cut my time in half. But in the past 4 years, like, you know, I listen to all these running podcasts, and I was listening to this podcast with like some NCAA runner from BYU who's like, they're like just a powerhouse school, especially the women at BYU. And she said something, they were like, did you have a breakthrough in college? And she was like, no, I just like, if I could tell the younger version of myself something, it would just be like, it's all compounding. Like, you're not going to have one day where you have this breakthrough. You're just going to like wake up 3 years later and be like, whoa, I'm way faster. Like, because you're consistent. And so it's interesting to see that with something like knitting. That's like, yeah, it's a goal directed hobby because I want to knit socks or and to give them away or wear. But yeah, it just reminds you that if you practice something a lot, you'll probably become really good at it, or you'll get better at it in some way, faster, better, more able to do more advanced techniques, which is really cool. You know, I wouldn't have shied away from a pattern like this 4 years ago. It just would have taken me a lot longer to knit it. Now I feel like it's much more in the background, and I'm just kind of doing it. I'm like, oh, I have 20 minutes. Let me get through a repeat. Or a repeat and a half. Usually it's faster than I expect. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So that's what I've been working on. I have been working a little bit on the sweater, the Sibyl sweater that I've been working on for the last, what's in there? Oh, sunscreen. I'm working on the Sibyl sweater for the last few weeks, kind of on and off. Oops. This happens every time. I like push the stitches all so far back, and the yarn is just so slippery. It just slides right up. Tries to slide off the needles. I think this is the front. So we've got, you know, I don't think I worked on it a ton in the past couple weeks, but I think I worked on it a little bit. I worked on it. I went to Monica's yesterday after church and we talked a couple hours and sat on the couch and knitted, and I definitely got through like maybe an inch. So there's like a good 6 to 7 inches now of this, which is probably like halfway down the body. So that's cool. I'm almost, you know, not almost done, but I did the yoke and I did half the body, so that has almost done the texture. I'm 2/3 of the way through the texture. Been alternating skeins a lot so that to avoid some pooling, and it's pretty random. Not completely random, but it's as random as I could probably possibly make it. There's some random like lighter bits and bobs everywhere, but I think it's really funky and cool, variegated for sure. So I've just been alternating skeins, just winding off kind of smaller balls, knitting with that till the end of the ball, and then changing to a new smaller ball and just alternating between the 3 skeins I'm using right now. I'll probably have to use the 4th skein a little bit for the sleeves. That's fine. Do some helical knitting. The texture pattern looks really cool up close, but it also looks really nice from far away. Just really enjoy it. So yeah, I'm cooking away on this, not quickly. It's just kind of simmering. But yeah, I bring it out every little while. I think before I worked on it for a few days before I let myself cast on the new socks, and I was like, I know as soon as I cast these on, I'm gonna just be addicted. So I think that was wise. It was like, finish a pair of socks, you have to chill for a couple days and work on this sweater and get a couple more inches done. So I'm trying to kind of pick it up more often, but I just really like knitting socks. So I would like to finish these before the sock sprint, but that's gonna start at the end of this week. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep knitting these through the sock sprint and then knit another pair, or if I'm just gonna stop knitting on these, like finish the first one and then start a new pair for the sock sprint and knit as many pairs as I can in the sock sprint. I don't know what I'm gonna do because I'm gonna be home in Vermont and I may not knit as much as I foresee right now. I don't know. Sometimes I knit a lot in Vermont, sometimes I don't. Depends on my mood, and oftentimes I don't knit what I think I'm gonna knit. So I don't like to predict. I like to give myself options. I could also knit the second Lizzie Bennet sock. Maybe I'll knit 2 second socks. I got to do the second. Oh my god, that is so bright. Not Lizzie, this is Lydia Bennet. My second Lydia Bennet sock. I think I'm gonna knit the second Lydia Bennet sample actually in the hot pink with a lighter pink for heels, toes, and cuffs, and I'm gonna make it longer. This is a shorty because I knitted this with a 50 gram yellow skein, so I couldn't do super long socks. But yeah, maybe I'll do the first Marginalia sock this week, and then for the sock sprint I'll knit some second socks. I think I did that once in the past. I used the sock sprint to knit a bunch of, to finish a bunch of pairs, and I only had one sock done. So yeah, and in the middle of the sock sprint I'm gonna get to visit the Woolly Thistle in person, which is really exciting. I am going on, oh my gosh, I should have the date. So the 19th, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19th. Yes. Okay. There. The Saturday, the 19th, I'm going to be at the Woolly Thistle with my mom for the birthday celebration, which is really exciting. I think it's Woolly Thistle's like 9 this year or something. That's wild. And I'm very excited to go. I like to go to Woolly Thistle when I'm home if I can. And this will be really fun. It'll be during the sock sprint. So I'll be bringing a sample of my Lizzie Bennet socks and Rambler, of course. And I'll be bringing some other whips, maybe some Fair Isle. We'll see. I should bring a Fair Isle whip home so that I actually finish it. Should see this. I'm I love to bring a variety of things home so I can do whatever I want. And then I'm I should just bring that Fair Isle whip home so I freaking finish it. Who knows? Who knows what I'm gonna do? I'm ungovernable. Oh, I need to charge my watch before Run Club. And that is kind of soon, so I gotta finish this up. Well, I did spend one more skein of Shrek. It's Tour de Fleece, so I thought I would get my my little e-spinner out and keep working on Shrek. This one is still wet. I washed it last night. Shrek is my Corriedale fleece that I got at Maryland Sheep and Wool. Not actually named Shrek. The sheep was just named a number. I named it Shrek. My fleece is Shrek and Fiona. So now I have 3 big skeins of Shrek. I think that's probably enough for a sweater. Because they're really fat skeins. These are not 100 grams. They are heavy, chunky skeins. And this one is 400 yards, so it's definitely got some heft. Might be 150 gram skein. But I'm going to keep going until I have maybe 4 huge skeins. And then I'm probably going to dye them all. So I am out of nestlets right now, but I did comb a bunch. I combed a bunch this weekend and I spun everything that I had. So not sure if I'm gonna get to more of that this week. I have some free time this week in the evenings, I think, so maybe I'll get to some more combing. I probably have a good amount still, at least a skeins worth still to comb, and then there's some that still needs to be washed. I don't know when I'm gonna do that. Probably when I get back from Vermont. I'm not really in a hurry, but I am pleased with it. It looks good. It's nice and bouncy and fluffy, and it's not perfect, but it's lovely. I've been thinking also about what to do with this blue yarn that I spun. I was making the Traveler hoodie that I was so excited about, but it just is so big. It's too big for me, so I need to take it out and do something else with this. And I really don't know what to do. Monica and I were talking about this yesterday, and she was like, well, you were excited about that. And I said, I know, but I don't know what to do now because it's just too big. But this is the perfect texture for this pattern because it's the big knit purl texture. It's almost like a kind of elongated garter stitch, which is just perfect for this random variegated hand spun, hand dyed fleece, yarn, whatever. And I just thought that was perfect. So maybe I'll just, but I don't know if I could make the Traveler hoodie because, well, I could, but I'd have to go down a lot of needle sizes. I knit the smallest size so I was thinking I might just make a crew neck because I could probably much more easily figure that out without a hood, to just knit at whatever gauge that I think is appropriate. So it'll probably be more like that. I don't know. It's not going to happen imminently, but I do like thinking about whips and how to handle all the stuff that's here. I also one of my running friends was over the other day and she was trying to help me troubleshoot like how to fix my spinning wheel Thelma. She's decided that she really wants to try and fix it, and I'm like, dude, be my guest, please. And she was like, can I see all your whips? And I was like, sure. And I had to like dig through some of them, and I found this. And I have this mitten that I made like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago in grad school. I told myself I needed to stop recording so I could go charge my watch and eat, and I haven't. I'll show you the book I used in a second, but I actually cast on the second one and then never finished it, like the needle's still in it. So she was like, that's like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I was like, yeah, I thought so too when I first knitted these. And it's like the size 0 needles just really hurt my hands, but I was like, maybe I should finish those. Like there's not that much left to do. The thumb gusset is done. When she put it on, she was like, oh, the thumb is too short. And I was like, well, I could lengthen the thumb because it's too short for me too. Yeah, the thumb just needs to be like twice as long, but it is pretty. Honestly, I would probably wear these, or I could give them to a friend, but I just need to find the last 2 blue colors. But yeah, I had this book. I don't know if I've ever showed this. I probably should show these things more often. This book I got after my first year of grad school. So yeah, that was almost 7 years ago. It was 7 years ago. Mittens of Latvia. And it's, I think that I remember buying it. It's really heavy. I remember buying it because it got released in English and I was so excited. But then when I got it, I realized I didn't really need, I mean, yeah, they do give you like some explanation of like whatever, like a little bit if you want to read that, which is kind of cool. But then they just like, this is the palm pattern that I was using. So it's like a picture of the chart and then a picture of what it looks like if you knit it. So it's amazing. They've knitted every single, you know, pattern in the book has a knitted sample, which is so cool. And it's one of those patterns, these are patterns that are so fine you can hardly even tell that that's a chart and that's a real one, which is so cool. So that's where these patterns came from, and I have so many marked with little stickies because I thought they were pretty. And it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, they're pretty, and I could use, if I wanted to design something in color work, it wouldn't matter if I was knitting a mitten or not. It would be a pretty, you know, color work pattern, like things that I've marked like that. Like, that's just pretty. I could knit a cowl with that pattern. So yeah, I don't know. I'll see if I can find this in on the internet somewhere and link it. But anyway, I'm gonna finish this up now because I do have to eat a little bit more and go to run club pretty soon. So, oh my gosh, it's so hot. Pray for me. I hope everyone's enjoying the heat. If you live in the northern hemisphere, I hope you're not as much of a heat wave as we are. Yeah, that's it. I'm not gonna go on. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Tiny Destiny with Emma. Bye.